Hi everyone, Zarkinpachi89 here. I haven't done a deck tech in a while. I haven't been playing a whole lot of Magic, but I'm coming back in, trying to play Modern, and this is what I'm gonna be playing. This is my four-color ally deck. Um, it's got a little bit of. I'm sure a lot of you saw the three-color ally deck that got top 32 at the SCG Open Series this last weekend, the 31st of October-ish. Um, he was playing the David was playing a um, red, white, green, or a Naya version of the deck. Um, and I've honestly always, since Battle for Zendikar came out, I feel like even the modern deck really uh, can use the black. It might not seem like it as much as like the healer is just a common, but I feel like the black is really relevant in the deck. And there's a couple changes that I made that I can tell you about as I go through the deck. But I do think these changes are for the best. They really do help the deck out when you're either short on mana or help you sustain in certain matchups. So we're gonna start here. Anyone that has no idea what I'm talking about the deck, then you can go ahead and watch this, see what cards are in this deck. It's a pretty sweet deck. All right. So first of all, we got Expedition Envoy, a new card from Battle for Zendikar, just a vanilla 2/1 for one. That's an ally. While it's not necessarily the best currently, it does obviously trigger your allies, and it is a 2/1 for one. So it helps the early aggression, get in there, start attacking, etc., etc. Um, Next, we got the Hada Free Blade. Hada Free Blade is your, pure one drop that you want in this deck almost all the time. Obviously, he grows whenever he enters the battlefield, and whenever another ally comes into play, he gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Uh, Usually, they won't see it as a threat right away. They'll ignore it. They'll let it, sit out there for a while. It'll start getting big, and eventually, it's going to get to a point where it's like, wow, that thing's annoying. I have to get rid of it. A lot of the threats in this deck, obviously, they can be abrupt decay, but the deck has so much resilience that, quite honestly, it really doesn't matter. A lot of the spot removal is just, it's not going to be enough to keep up with the deck. So you're able to just kind of run through things. The Calastria Healer is obviously one of the additions I made to the deck because I'm running black instead of just Naya. I'm running the four colors. The additional life gain and damage that you can do to them. Like if they clog up the board and it's in a state where they can't attack and you can't attack without, either one of you having negative consequences for it, you can just sit back in your healer and you can just play allies every turn and just slowly eat your health back and drain them. Also, it's a fun combo with the Collected Company, March from the Tomb, and the return from the ranks or whatever it's called, the white card I'll show you in a bit. Just being able to combo, like if you get multiple them out, just stacking the abilities on top of each other and just draining for huge amounts is really good. Um, so by itself, it's kind of a mediocre ability, but when you start stacking them and you use the abilities that are dropping multiple allies at a time, it's going to be really good. Next is your core 2 drop, the most important one that you want all the time, and it's Kazandu Blade Master. 2/2 for 2 with First Strike and Vigilance by itself is awesome. Just the ability, by itself being able to block, you know, all the, the two toughness things that are out there, or 2/1s that are out there that you can just deal with. You can attack and sit back and block too. It's really nice. There's, the Goblin Guides and Blood Gas and, whatever it is that has 2 or less toughness. It's really nice being able to handle it. And the one nice thing I actually found is just pumping this thing once with one additional ally trigger, being able to trade with things like Thragtusk. because it's a 5/3, and then the 3/3s it makes can't attack you either. You know, it just sit back and attack and then block, and it just helps so much. This card is so good. I wish there was another ally that was as good as this one. I do have 2 Oran Reef Survivalists in here. They're kind of just like a filler spot. I was thinking about running either the Beastmaster from Battle for Zendikar, or I could run the Mana one from regular Zendikar. But it's only a 0-1 or 0-2 or something like that. Like, it doesn't really do good attacking, but it would ramp and it would help with Collect a Company. So I might end up replacing it, but for now, it's just another creature that gets bigger and bigger and bigger and can attack. And that's all the deck really needs right now. So it's just a filler 2 of that. You know, we'll see what we do with it. Next, we have the whole reason you're playing red in this deck is Battle Singer, which when you just look at the card, it doesn't seem that good by itself. But quite honestly, it's one of the best cards in the deck, especially if you're getting it early and you're just running people over. Or again, like with the healer, if you're stacking them or getting multiple triggers in a turn, all of a sudden your guys are freaking huge. They're smashing for, 4 damage apiece. It's a really good card, and this card really does win you the games when you just need to smash their face in. Plus it has haste, so I mean, like, there's a lot of times where, obviously there's Aether Vial down here that you can see. There's a lot of times that you can, just on turn 1 you play an Aether Vial, take it up to 1 on your second turn. Turn 2, tap your Aether Vial to drop a 1-drop, and then pay your 2 lands, or tap your 2 lands to play the Singer, and then tap your Aether Vial to drop your 1-drop. So all of a sudden it's a 3-1 on turn 2 that you're attacking with. And it didn't look like you had anything turn 1 to attack with. So, I don't know. It's a really nice card just for aggro like that, or for comboing with other cards in the deck. Core Blade Whirl is an awesome card for the deck. I don't want to have more than 2 because the ability is good, but there's no way to make stuff stronger with it. So, or pump itself or anything like that. So just the 2 is nice, because giving your creatures first strike, especially with the Battle Singer, is awesome. Just giving yourself first strike, pumping the team, running their whole stuff over, anything they have, just run it over. It's fantastic. It helps so much, especially with stuff like Freeblade, who is just, a big body by himself. Giving him first strike really helps out as well. We're going to go to our Kabira Evangel. This is the best card in the deck. This card, it wins you games just because being able to play stuff at instant speed with Aether Vial or Collect a Company, just dropping something on their turn, and in response to them trying to kill something, or in response to combat, anything like that, just instant speed protection is awesome. And it obviously doesn't even necessarily be him that you drop. He could already be in play, and then you're just like, oh, I'm going to, Aether Vial, a Freeblade, or a 2-drop or something into play, or play Collecting Company and drop a couple of dudes. And that's the cool part, is you can Collect a Company, drop 2 dudes that have protection from 2 different colors. Or if you have two Evangels in play, all of a sudden you have protection from up to 4 colors, So that card is really the most important card in the deck. It protects your creatures, even though you don't have many 9-creature spells in the deck. You don't have a whole lot of disruption. This card is your disruption. This card really makes the deck work. And quite honestly, there's no way you could go below 4 with the deck and try to make it work well. This is the other option. This is the other card I added for black. Drana, Liberator, Malakir. Flying first strike, pumps the team. Works. It's really fun with you know, just being able to do combat tricks, or, you know, a lot of times they're going to want to try to kill it if they have stuff that is only sorcery speed, or, you know, just being able to drop it at the end of their turn so then you can attack with it the next turn so it's less likely to be killed. Um, but the card by itself, if they can't get rid of it and if they have no way to get rid of it, it becomes a huge problem, especially if you can get just one counter on it so it's out of, you know, Lightning Helix and Lightning Bolt range. It starts to be a huge issue with the flying, just getting over. And if you're able to consistently, with this out, if you're able to consistently attack with it, and you have like an Evangel in play, you can sit there and attack, and during combat step, you can Aether Vial something into play to get, you know, while your whole team is attacking, Aether Vial something into play. The Evangel gives your creatures protection from the color, whatever they're able to block with. All of a sudden, your whole team gets bigger because of the Drana, and they all have protection from whatever color. So even if they were to die from lethal damage, they don't because of the protection, and they all get bigger. So it's a nice way to just kind of combo together and pump your team, make them stronger, make it even harder for your team to die. Next, we have obviously Aether Vial. It's one of the most important cards in the deck, just being able to, you know, instant speed drop cards into play. Being able to, you know, try to protect your creatures a little more so they don't have to sit around for a turn before you can attack with them. Obviously, like I was saying, comboing with the Evangel, comboing with Drana, Blade Whirl, that's actually really fun too. Just instant speed, you know, Aether Vialing a Blade Whirl into play so your whole team has first strike and your whole team gets pumped from, you know, Free Blade and Blade Master and Survivalist. They all get bigger all of a sudden, and then they get first strike, and, you know, Battle Stinger's out, all of a sudden they all get +1/+0. Aether Vial's so good in the deck. It's obviously good with every creature strategy, but it's definitely another card that you need 4 of in the deck. Next we got March from the Tomb, another Battle for Zendikar card. He was originally running the, let me pan over to it here, Return to the Ranks. He was running 1 of in the main deck, 2 of in the sideboard. But I decided that since I'm already playing black and I added black, I like the card so much just because you can have up to 8 converted mana cost stuff into play. Now, this can bring back Drana and Evangel, where the Return to the Ranks can't bring those back. You can also, in my sideboard, the Firemantle Mage, which we'll talk about later, you can bring that back as well. But yeah, but you can't bring them back with Return to the Ranks. And quite honestly, being able to bring back Evangel is one of the most important things in the deck. Like, if you can't bring back Evangel, then, you know, you don't have enough survivability and protection for your creatures. So I do like the March from the Tomb. I might actually add another one. I might end up replacing all of these with March from the Tombs, because while, you know, sure, you can bring back 1 or 2 creatures for less mana, the ability, you know, you're bringing back a lot of creatures for 8 mana or for 5 mana, because you can, you know, if you just look at the stuff that might be in your, you know, in your graveyard that you want to bring back, you know, you can bring back 4 2-drops, which is, you know, compared to the Return to the Ranks, that's going to cost 4 mana. It's going to cost 6 mana total to do, which is a mana less if you use March from the Tomb. You can bring back more creatures than that if you're bringing back the 1-drops as well. Or you can bring back 2 3-drops and a 2-drop, you know? Like, the amount of stuff that you can bring back from March from the Tomb compared to the Return to the Ranks is really good. So I think, even though it's costing an extra mana, I think it's going to be better. Plus, it curves better with Collected Company. You know, you're going to want turn 4, if you have the mana for, you're always going to be wanting to play the Collected Company, whether it be on your turn or their turn. You're going to always be wanting to play the Collected Company on turn 4, and then turn 5 you can return from the Tomb. and get a whole bunch of guys back that they might have just swept away on turn 4. Like, you know, some of the problems you're going to run into is there's Damnation, there's Wrath of God, there's, you know, all Languish, there's all those kind of cards that are going to be able to, if played, you know, sweep your board. You know, then all of a sudden, turn 5, it's like, all right, I'm going to March from the Tomb, and I'm going to bring all those creatures back. So this card, I'm probably going to honestly completely switch the Return to the Ranks out for March from the Tomb. Maybe I'll keep one in the sideboard. I'll just switch out one of them for another March from the Tomb. But the card is very good if you're playing black. And the only reason he obviously wasn't playing it was because he wasn't playing black. He was playing Naya. Lastly, another really important card of the deck. It's also, this whole deck is kind of also like the sliver strategy as well, with the Aether Vial and Collected Company and stuff like that. You know, instant speed, you can drop creatures from your deck. I quite honestly, if you don't hit 2 creatures, it's very surprising. You almost always hit 2 creatures. Because you're only running 20, I believe it's 21 land in the deck. He was running 22. Anyways, I can figure that out at the end, and I'll let you know. But you're only running a small amount of lands, so the likelihood that you're going to run into not landing 2 creatures is pretty absurd. But yeah, the card is good. Brings out more creatures, triggers more your ally triggers. Creatures get bigger, get protection, all of that fun stuff. This card, quite honestly, I think with what it does, the card's going to get more expensive than what it is now. It's like $7.50 or $8 right now. It's going to get more expensive. It's, you know, there's so many targets you can hit with this that are even in other decks. Just thinking about like Tarmogoyfs and, you know, just, you know, Noble Hierarch, you know, and some of these other decks. There's just so many creatures that you can hit with this. That's really good. And then we got our lands here. We got 4 ally encampment. The most important land in the deck. Cavern Soul is also very good. Obviously, you know, it's good against blue. Make sure your creatures can't be countered. But ally encampment, not only does it give you any colored mana, so it helps you cast your creatures in a 4-color deck like this, but being able to, you know, if you need that instant speed protection from, you know, the Kabari Evangel, but you don't have any creatures left in your hand, and you have like something like an Aether Vial out, you know, tap, sack your ally encampment to return one of your creatures to your hand, and then Aether Vial the creature back into play to give you protection or give you first strike or any of these things. If you run out of gas in your deck for some reason, it helps you just come back and keep pushing your ally triggers over and over again, which is obviously, you know, what the card was meant to do. But I just think the ability is very good, and it's very underrated, I feel like. I mean, the card's only like $1.50 right now. But and obviously it's because it's a very specific card for a specific deck, but what it does works very well. And then obviously Cavern of Souls, you know, your creature can't be countered. You can be naming allies, so all your creatures can't be countered. Obviously the biggest problem is when they start countering stuff like the Company and March from the Tomb, which you can't make, you know, uncounterable. But the Cavern of Souls is a very good card. It always helps you, you know, get out all your creatures you need. The nice part about all these cards too, the Ally Encampment and the Cavern of Souls, is they do tap for 1 colorless mana. So if you do have one of these on turn 1 and you need to play an Aether Vial, you can still play Aether Vial off of these cards. So that's really nice. That's why I was very happy with Ally Encampment when they made it. Just the fact that it can tap for colorless. Next, we got our temples. We got our basically all of our shocklands here: Godless Shrines, Sacred Foundries, Temple Gardens. We have Marsh Flats. The white and the black are the most important in terms of creatures. The green and white because you need the Collected Company. which is quite honestly the whole reason for creating the deck. Like, we could switch the survival aside for something else, but the whole point of the deck is for the green is collected company. Um, so the Windswept Heath, the Marsh Flats, you can grab the Temple Gardens as well. The and then there's one Bloodstained Mire. Just be able to grab, all of your lands, because you can grab any of these off of the. That's not true. You can grab either of these off of the Bloodstained Mire. So that's why it's only one of. And then we have one of each of these basics. The mountain I probably should have as a swamp instead. Um, but for now I just have as a mountain. Just because, just in case, like this is one of the most important cards in the deck in terms of being aggressive and very aggro. I just threw the mountain in there just because, in case I need the red for these. And then anyways, we go to our sideboard here. We got the Cutthroats, which, if you play Standard, you've seen these recently in all of those aristocrat type builds. I put these in for any sort of sweeper type of deals, like control decks with sweepers. Also, any just like black decks that are running a lot of, just creature destruction. It's nice to have these in here. Just you're constantly dealing damage to them. The Lantern Scout I have is a one of. I put these and I put in the Ondu Clerics against the burn decks. While it does cost 3, which might seem like a lot, just giving your creatures lifelink is every single one of your allies' lifelink is so good, quite honestly. Especially when you're working the first strike into the strategy, stuff like that, or the Battle Singer is pumping your stuff and they have lifelink, so it all obviously works very well together. I only have the one of the Lantern Scout just because it does cost 3 mana, and most of the good cards in the deck are 2 costs, and besides the Evangel, which costs 3. So we don't want to load the deck up with too many 3 drops, because we want to keep the Aether Vials if we can on 2. But if we get multiple Aether Vials, we can obviously bump one of them up to 3. We have Chameleon Colossus. This is going to be for Abzan decks, mono black decks, anything that has the black to kill your creatures. It obviously counts as an ally itself because it's a changeling. Protection for black is relevant for those decks, obviously. And yeah, it's just nice that all your ally triggers are going to be triggered on it as well. So it's just a nice card to help you live through those Abzan or black decks. Plus, you can pump it, which, I mean, getting the double black or double green for pumping into whatever, you might get it, but just the ability to be able to pump it's pretty cool. Especially if you have a Battle Singer that's pumping all your stuff, and all of a sudden it's like a 6/4 instead of a 4/4. All of a sudden you double it, and all of a sudden it's 12 instead of 8. So I think it's pretty big. Kataki War's Wage. These are for the artifact decks. Do everything you can to just get rid of all the artifacts in play. So these are going to be helpful against that. Obviously they don't count as allies, but it doesn't matter. You just need to get their artifacts off the board. Path to Exiles. These are for mostly for the twin strategies. Just so you can get rid of it when they try to go off. Also, if you're playing against Tron stuff that uses Wormcoil engines, or just any big bothersome things you need to get out of the way that's going to be a pain. It's a good thing to put in the deck. And and the other thing is, if you do throw it in for some reason and you do run out, run short on lands, you can just path your own creature. Sure, it sucks, but you can get a land out of it, and it helps you catch up on land. Because obviously, like I said, you do run not a lot of land. Like I said earlier, Return to the Ranks might end up being March from the Tombs. The Convoke is nice just because you can tap your allies and you can, use the Convoke cost. But, quite honestly, when it comes down to it, half the time you're just going to be casting the card because you ran out of creatures in play. The whole point is to bring stuff back that got killed. So the Convoke ability isn't exactly the most relevant. But because of the Convoke, I might just keep one in there. Keep one in the sideboard, replace the other one with March from the Tombs. Fire Mantle Mage, these are mostly just for other, like the big decks like Abzan, stuff that plays bigger creatures that you need to get through, that they only have 1 or 2 creatures out at a time. That way you can push your creatures through, get damage in, finish them off. And then, last, like I said, Undo Cleric against burn strategies. It's going to be good. It is always going to be good. Because even if you're playing a turn 2 after playing a turn 1 creature, you're getting 2 life. And you play another creature, if they don't kill the Undo Cleric, all of a sudden you're gaining 3 life when you play another ally. So you just, the amount of life gain you get from the card is actually much more relevant than it might seem like sometimes. Anyways, that is the end of the deck. If there is any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments. I do stream on Twitch. I will be streaming this deck later today. Obviously, a lot of you won't see me on the stream, but if you want to go to my stream at Twitch TV/ZarKenpachi89, go ahead and watch me there. I play this, I play Magic, I play League of Legends, I play lots of other games. So, yep, the deck is good. It's fun. It's not, it's not itself very expensive. Like, there are a couple expensive cards. The Aether Vials are, $35, $40. Cavern of Souls is up there now as well. Those are like $40. But other than the land, the deck is very, very, very cheap. Because of the deck, when you played and got top 32, the Evangelists started going up in price. They're like, $5 right now. Yeah, thanks for checking out the deck. Try the deck out. Tell me what you think of it. And if you like it, let me know. If you have any questions, let me know. And I'll see you guys.